hello, and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 311. That's 311 for July 12th, 2024. Zia, my eyes with that double vision. I think Greg comes up with these titles. Tyler, oh, by the way, I'm Brett Martin from Zenatta Consulting.
Yeah.
Greg
is sometimes too clever for us. We're not quite on his level for understanding these things. So, let us know in the comments if you understand the title.
I think it's that, oh, my eyes with that double vision. Anyway, how was that? Pretty good?
Pretty
Freddie
good.
Always tells me
Better than average.
For those of you who don't know, Freddie's a professional magician or musician, I'm sorry. And might have been a magician at one point in his life. Who knows? And, you should have heard him. He coached me on singing a song at my wedding. And, man, that was embarrassing. You know, he would sing something and I would sing it back and he'd go, oh, no, that's not how I did it. Let's try that again. Can you hear that?
I got to give yourself some more credit than that. Come on. You were pretty good. You were tear jerking at the wedding. So yeah, you was making people cry.
Well, but it took you 6 months to work with me on one single song, Freddie.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to say anything.
All right. Enough of this. Let's get a quick word from our sponsors. Then we'll get to the news.
Are you struggling to get your team trained in using Zoho effectively? Considering the hefty costs of team meetings and onboarding sessions dedicated to Zoho training, there has to be an easier way. Say hello to efficiency with our Zoho team training courses. Zoho CRM made easy. Become a project management pro, top-tier customer support, and maximize your marketing impact. Are you ready to equip your team? Start today at zenatta.com/training and let us lead the way.
All righty, getting into the news. You know, Tyler, I realized I didn't ask you how your week has been. How you're doing?
My week has been good. Closed on the house yesterday. Been in the process of buying a new house for the last month or so. So, yeah, signed on the dotted line about 20 times, 30 times, so many documents. But yeah, all done. And now just looking forward to a vacation that I'm taking next week. So to the listeners, it may end up being one of those ill-fated Brett and Greg episodes where things go completely off the rails. So make sure not to miss next week's episode. A couple little inside jokes that still circulate around the company from the last one that we shouldn't say here so that we don't get demonetized.
All righty. With that, and by the way, Tyler, I do really care. That's why I was asking. But I
know. You're a man with so much empathy.
I have a lot of empathy, so I wanted to throw that. All right. With that, let's get to the news. Hey, you know what? You can effortlessly advance through your CRM blueprints by including optional fields in the transition. If I'm correct, in the past, you couldn't have any optional fields in a blueprint transition. They had to be filled in. But now they can be
anything that was a part of that blueprint transition would be required. You must fill it in to move to the next step. A way that people kind of like.
Well, we think this would be a great thing. Maybe it's not now.
Yeah, and it could be fixed by now. I haven't played with it a bit. I know when they first rolled it out to beta, there was some weird behavior where if you had an optional field, it would show a lot more fields in the transition. I think it was related to layout rules. I haven't played with it too much, so just test this out before you deploy it to your team to make sure that issue's been fixed. But this is a nice update. The way that I would imagine this being used the most often is let's say you're working a deal, and by the time you're at stage 5, you definitely need to have a certain field filled in. Well, you might actually learn about that data at stage 1, 2, 3, or 4, but previously in a blueprint, you couldn't include that field unless you knew that it was definitely going to be filled in at that point, where now you can include those things saying hey, if you know this, go ahead and add it, but it's not mandatory to move to that next step. So just giving people a little bit more flexibility on this type of process is always going to be nice to see. It's kind of the way that Kiosk works. Kiosk, you can have a field that you don't have to fill in that's included. And now they'll be adding those here as well.
I like it. Very nice. Nice job,
and whenever they make updates to these core things, right? Workflows, blueprints, the things people use every single day, I'm always happy to see it.
Yeah, super nice. All right. And speaking of which, also in CRM, you can now empower your workflows with Actions by Zoho Flow, which you've had in Enterprise Edition for a while, but now this is now available in the Standard and Professional editions. Point that out, and then you and I got in an entire conversation about Actions for Zoho Flow, which is different than just standard Zoho Flows, different API credits. What are the key differences in just regular flows and action flows?
I mean, it's really just like there's some benefits to Actions by Zoho Flow. The way to think about it, if you're a CRM user, you make a workflow, you go in and you add an action, right? And you can see if you're watching us on YouTube here, you've got those options to send an email, make a task, whatever it may be. With Actions by Zoho Flow, you essentially have one more option there, that is to trigger a Zoho Flow via an action. The benefit is you can get a lot more specific in a CRM workflow with how something should trigger than you can inside of Zoho Flow. So like there are some benefits to doing it this way. The one weird thing that I'd always just like to point out is that Actions by Zoho Flow works on a different crediting system than Zoho Flow itself. It's a little less generous in the credits. And so if you're already using Zoho Flow heavily, right? And let's say you've purchased some additional credits and you say, okay, I want to now start using Actions by Zoho Flow, you're not going to be able to dip into your existing Flow credits. It's a separate purchase that you'll need to make within the CRM essentially. Now, if again, watching us on YouTube, you can see like it's not overwhelmingly expensive. They give you 100 credits out the gate. Each trigger will probably use 1 credit. We would need to do some additional research because in Flow, each step of the flow takes a credit. So I'm not sure how these ones work in particular, if this is just a trigger or if it's going to charge you a credit for each action. But again, it's not like they're charging an astronomical amount here. It's not going to break the bank if you pony up $10 a month because you prefer doing your automation this way. But with how many credits are included in a Flow license, where a lot of people are on Zoho 1, they already have this included. Our method is still probably going to be like, if I need the complicated criteria of a workflow, I'll set it up as workflow, and then I'll just post a webhook to trigger a flow and do it that way. A little more technical. So for those that don't want to touch webhooks, coding at all, again, this can be a nice tool. I just wish it was the same credits as Zoho Flow. It's odd to me.
There's a lot of API
even if it's not a
credits
cost element, it's like a weird element, right? That like sometimes when we're talking to a prospect, I always try to save them money, right? And so it's hard for me to tell them like, yeah, you should pay this extra money to do it here, even though I could just do it this way and you wouldn't have to pay anything, right? So there's pros and cons to it. I think it's interesting. I would just like to see them consolidate the credits.
Totally. You could actually just have one set of API credits across the board, a universal API credit, right? And you make it the lowest common denominator. Maybe that's a penny, right? Or maybe it's a half a penny. And it's like, hey, great. If you're doing a Zoho sign, it's using 200 credits, right? If you're doing this, it's doing that. But you could have one thing and you just buy 1 billion API credits and just watch them, watch them slowly go down. It'd be a nice countdown from 1 billion. You never know. All right. That's it. So anyway, if you've got that, then there you go. You're good to go. So if you have professional edition, I should say now, or standard edition, because now you've got it. I'm like Joe Biden there. I just totally drifted off. Had no idea where I was, what I was thinking about, what I was doing. Right. It's happening. And I'm only 62. Good Lord. So it happened to best of us. I'm just going to freeze up in a minute here, start stumbling. Thank God I have a teleprompter. Without this, I'm totally lost. I know. Hey, you can discover and manage duplicate image with Zia Vision. I remember, wasn't there some Marvel comic, something Vision?
WandaVision.
Ready, help me. WandaVision. That's what
I heard. That was really good. I never watched it. It was on
That
Disney
was a very, very good movie. Yes. Surprisingly good. Kind of set up for a sequel that I'm waiting for. But, whether my mind will be there when it comes out, I don't know. Anyway, Zia Vision is if you're in the CRM and you got a duplicate, you can find it. So basically the example they give is if you're in the CRM, they're showing like the little featured image that sits up in the corner on a contact record. It's usually the person's face. If it has an exclamation point next to it, that means the Zia Vision has searched deep into your CRM and found other duplicates of that image using its deep Vision capabilities. And if you click on the little exclamation point, it will then show you the dupes and you can delete them. If you're watching the animation on the screen.
It's on YouTube, you can see it's very quick, but you can see that it does pop up.
You click, it finds them and you can get rid of them.
This is an interesting one. I mean, like, is the use case here that you would be looking to like deduplicate your contacts and you would do it on the image, not like the email or phone number? Like, I'm trying to think in my head, like, when you would use this. I don't really know that I see it.
Like, hey, if you've got an alumni module, it's going to discover, same person graduated, he got his bachelor's and he got his master's. And so maybe you got two things in the, it really seems to, I think it might only be looking at that featured image. I don't know if it has because it seems that way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I were looking for, let's say I ran an alumni platform and I were looking for duplicated alumni, the picture would be pretty low on the list in terms of like what I would try to do to deduplicate them. Right. Again, it's cool. Why not? Maybe there's probably a use case I'm just not seeing. Right. I don't have the Zia vision to see the use case for it, but it's a little odd. I just don't know that I don't know that I get it. Thanks, Freddie. I needed that today.
But I don't know. It seems to me you would dedupe the contact or you would dedupe the alumni and that would then dedupe the pictures, right? Because they would then.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Merge.
I just don't know when you would really consistently have images of the people, but not their email address, I guess is where my confusion comes from. Like, if I had to guess what I was going to have, I would always bet on I have their email, not I have a picture of them in all of the records. But nonetheless, it's cool. I'm sure there's a use case for it that people will be excited about. It's just going right over my head.
Well, we're not sure why they did this, but hindsight is 2020. So we'll see what we head up with here. All right, moving right along. I didn't get a rim shot, Freddie. Nothing for the old guy.
It's on cooldown.
All right. So what have I got here? Oh, Zoho Books July 2024 update. Exciting. So we're going to skip through most of this. This is completely minor changes. Most of it is for other countries. There's some small things in here. The interesting one is that I get this a lot, and we put this in the show because, as you know, we leave a lot of news out of the show. It's in our newsletter. Please subscribe. But you can, they have a thing they call estimate to quotes migration, which basically is not that. It basically just renames the estimates module quotes. And a lot of people want that because they are used to calling quotes estimates. And so this is a quick way to rename it. I guess you don't have that whole back end translation ability like you do in CRM and books where you can just go through and rename anything you want. So they've set this up as a special feature for you to be able to do that. And I think that is something that will make a lot of people happy. It is not a migration, though. It's just going to rename
it's a name change. Like, you're not moving any data. This is not an arduous thing. It's a quick little toggle. This is a minor one, but honestly, you do run into that thing where, when we're setting up a CRM for somebody, we like to use their language, right? Yes. What would you call this? Oh, you call it a proposal. Okay, well, then the button is going to say send proposal. Oh, you call it a contract. You call it an estimate. And books is that one area where some people are just like, we don't use the word estimate. It's not what we call things. And we're like, well, use it anyways, right? Train your team. But now it'll be nice just to be able to rename it because a lot of people do prefer using the word quote. I will also call out, this is pretty minor as well. If you scroll down 2 stories, they did now add custom modules into the quick create menu. Custom modules gained support in Zoho Books, I think, last year. We've actually found a lot of use cases for them for like bill of materials and things like that. So now you'll be able to just quickly create one using that menu. Again, minor thing, but I think more and more people start to use those inside of books over time. So good to be able to just have that there.
Yeah. So anyway, minor stuff. We can't expect Zoho Books to make drastic changes every month, but these are nice little cleanup items. So kudos to the book team. Moving right along, we're ushering in a new chapter in Bigin's partnership with Samsung. The usher's just walking them down the aisle. And there they are. This is kind of interesting. We're talking about this. Zoho has been an Apple house for the longest time. Everything's Apple first, then it comes out on Android. And I've actually never heard of anything where they've done anything with Samsung. But if you are a Samsung user, this is direct support for some of their really, really cool devices. All their foldable devices, their tablets, all that kind of stuff. Zoho's built in some, I think, what looks to be some very nice native support for those devices. I mean, I'm an Apple guy. I wish they had a foldable. I would buy it in 5 seconds, man. I tell you what, I've played with some people that have these Samsung devices, and I absolutely love them. But that's that.
I'll also highlight too, and I'm assuming they'll probably end up doing this with Apple as well, but they're directly tying into the on-platform AI tool that's on Samsung called Galaxy AI. I haven't played with it, so I don't know where it kind of ranks, in the stack ranking of generative AI. But what that means is, let's say you have Bigin open, you could just use Galaxy AI to clean up an email that you're typing, right? Those little types of things that will just connect directly in on the device. Really, again, we talk about it. We've talked it to death at this point. The whole Bigin CRM thing, so many of these features, wow, it'd be great to have inside of the CRM. And the one thing, Zoho, if you're listening, that I have found, because our idea is always, okay, you're going to use Bigin on the mobile device. You're going to sync it with CRM, and maybe those outbound sales teams or kind of the people on the road, whatever, are going to use Bigin. The problem I've bumped into when the rubber really hits the road on that is Bigin can't sync leads. It can only sync accounts, contacts, and deals. But a lot of people use leads. So in order to do that, where you have that Bigin CRM connection, it means you can't really use the leads module. Everything has to be like a deal in a stage called lead, right? Or qualifying or whatever it may be, which can be fine, but it's not the preferred way that everyone wants to use the system. So whenever these mobile updates come out, in the back of my head, I'm always like, well, it'd be great. We'll just use them. If people care about these, they'll just sync CRM over to Bigin, but that doesn't always quite work if you need a custom module or you need a lead or you need whatever it may be. So I do hope, as more and more effort goes to Bigin, that the CRM mobile experience is not forgotten, because it's not great. The CRM mobile app, it's fine, but it's a lot worse than the Bigin app. And so it'd be great to see some of these things come across as well, just so that it's not falling so far behind.
Well, and we've really evolved. I mean, this app, when it came out, was ultra lightweight, very pipe drive-ish, not a lot of features, but kind of cool for salespeople. Just, it gave them that pipe drive thing. It talked back to the CRM. Now we're in a situation where we have 2 completely different CRMs, right?
Yep.
By the same company competing with each other, both of them full featured, big and getting more and more features by the day.
It's got a books integration now, which is great, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Bigin is lacking a bunch of stuff that CRM has. I don't think it has client-side scripting. There's a whole bunch of stuff, massive, powerful stuff that sits in Zoho CRM that's not Bigin. Bigin has a ton of stuff that we'd love to see in the CRM, as we're talking about now. And, it's campaigns and marketing automation. It's why?
What's going on?
Projects, we have sprints, and we have tables. I mean, it's just, there's not that those shouldn't be 3 separate products, but I mean, there's a lot of different.
It's more and more confusing. People are adopting Zoho. It's what do I use out of this, 55 apps that they've got? What are the ones that are right for me? And it's always tricky to figure that out.
It really is. I mean, the CRMs, I understand those 3 different project management tools. Everybody has their own way of doing that. But on the CRM side, I don't know, man. It's it's kind of tough here. So, as well as on marketing automation and campaigns, that's another whole issue. But all right, guys. Well, nice job though. I'm glad they're supporting. I'm really glad they're supporting this cool stuff. But I do agree with you that the mobile is lacking. All right, moving right along. On the social wall. This is basically, if you are a user of Zoho Social, they have a newsletter. It's called the Social Wall. Kind of updates us on what they've been doing, which is good, because oftentimes they don't really talk about, they don't put a lot of the news out. So you kind of pick up on all of it here on this one little newsletter. Sure. Anyway, so you can now be the first to add a comment on Facebook, LinkedIn post, and YouTube videos. The thing about this is you can do it from within Zoho Social now. It used to be you really couldn't comment on a post until somebody had commented on that post, and then you could comment back on it.
Yeah.
Now you can actually just comment on it straight away. A lot of people like to do that, commenting on your own stuff. You can now collaborate collectively on Instagram posts, which is nice because collaboration is always good. You can tag users to invite and collaborate. And anyway, the big thing is they now have a completely revamped calendar, which we also saw in Marketing Plus last week. Yep. And Zoho Social is part of Marketing Plus, so I'm thinking this is all tying in here together. And
the Brand Studio use case, but a little less, because the Brand Studio would bring in like a marketing email that you're going to send in a week, where this will just be on the social side, but still is really nice.
Yeah, but you can buy Zoho Social Agency Edition, right? And manage social for a whole bunch of different clients, which is what we're seeing here. You see up in the corner, it says Zycler with the drop down. You can have all your different clients. And so you've got that ability to manage, look at your calendar for the various people, which is cool. Good deal. That's about it for Zoho Social updates. All right. And with that, let's get to the implementation of the week.
Alrighty, so implementation this week was built out by myself and Maya, mostly Maya doing a lot of the work here. This is Zoho Forms integration to CRM for adding any subform entries from that Zoho form as contacts into the CRM. So really the goal here is that our client wanted to create a form that could be sent to the primary contact for an account, so that primary contact can easily provide an updated list of relevant contacts at their company. There's a client that sells a software tool that not everyone at the company is going to ever need to think about or touch, but that different teams or members of teams might need to interact with. So they need to capture all those people that should essentially be communicated with and onboarded onto the tool. So to accomplish this, first thing we did is set up a pretty simple form that has a hidden field where we can tuck that account ID when we send it out via email. That basically just sets us up to be able to integrate the form back to that account later. Then we add a subform where whoever is filling out the form can enter many contacts. Of course, a subform, if you haven't used one, essentially like a table, right? Where they can add rows. So it's like first name, last name, email, phone number, just that basic information. Then when the form is submitted, we run the integration through Zoho Flow rather than using the default integration, so that we can just run it directly into a deluge action block, essentially a little bank of code that will take all of the data submitted in that form and do the appropriate actions with it. So essentially what that code will do is it will take that account ID that's been hidden in the form and find the appropriate account inside of CRM. Then for each of the rows that's been submitted, and that could be 1, 2, 10, 50, however many rows someone decides to enter, a contact can be created or updated because we always want to check to see if they might already be in there. But if they're not, they'll be created underneath that account with all of the data that was provided in that subform included in the contact record. So kind of a simple one, but just wanted to point out kind of the use case of just running this through Flow. The native integration does actually allow you to map a subform from a Zoho form to a subform in the CRM. So if these were stored on like a subform on the account, we could just do it that way. But of course, you actually want these in there as proper contacts, not just like rows in a CRM subform. So we just run it directly through Flow to accomplish that.
Very, very nice. I'm trying to figure out what clients you did this for. But one of yours.
Yeah.
Very nice. Nice job. I can see a lot of different applications for that across the board. So
yeah,
pretty cool. Nice job, Tyler and Maya. Tyler's really coming along.
I know. Yeah.
Doing some good stuff.
I was about to fire him, but after this, I think I'll keep him around a little longer.
I know. All right, let's head over to Club Zenatta and take a look at our code share of the week. All righty. Top developer Jason No is at it again. Automated bundling for composite items inside of Zoho Inventory. This is actually very cool. Basically, click a button and bundle a bunch of items. So what a bundle is you've got a bunch of individual items, and you want to create a SKU that has all of those items bundled together. You can put them together as a composite item. Oftentimes, this can be, I have a box, I've got liquid, I've got a vessel for that liquid, and I've got labels. And those things, when they all come together, make an item that you would basically a product that's ready to go. And so there you go. So this is a way to automate that overall process. Fairly nice.
We do automate this quite often for people when they're using composite items, because the other alternative is that when, like, let's say the shipping team actually puts that stuff together, they would have to manually go in and add a bundle to say, I move this inventory over. So what a lot of users say is, yes, technically automating it means that the inventory moves a little before it actually does in the warehouse. So the system is a bit ahead, where it's already deducted from raw and added to the finished. But the reality is that we'd rather deal with that little cadence issue than have to make our warehouse team come in and type in bundles whenever they're actually making these. It's just way more of a pain in the butt. So honestly, I would say like 90% of the clients we work with that use composite items, we're automating the bundling for, because it just makes everyone's life so much easier.
And one of the things I was asking you pre-show is it possible to unbundle items using...
I wasn't sure. Let us know down below in that good old comment section if you know, because I didn't have a chance to check for the show. I don't know that you can, though.
Be cool. Anyway, if you don't know, Club Zenatta is our online community where you can basically talk about all things Zoho. We have got... a nice community that participates. They ask questions, they get questions answered. Our team's in there answering questions and asking questions. It's kind of everything you might want to, if you're basically into Zoho, this is a place to go. All we require is your email to join and participate in the overall community. We would love to have you join. That's club.zenatta.com. It's also where we keep all of our co-chairs, as you just saw. You can ask questions that you'd like for Tyler and I to address on the show, or for Greg to answer in a future Azaz episode. Anyway, we'd love for you to come on over, club.zenatta.com, join the community. And with that, let's head over to Zenatta and see what's happening over there. Yes, I've always thought about that. Let's head over to zenatta.com. I should say, let's head over to our website and see what's happening there. It's got to be a better transition than the one I've been using for the last 311 episodes, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Wasn't 311 the name? Wasn't there a rock band, 311?
Uh-huh. Rock, like really light rock. They're kind of...
Yeah.
Not bad, though. They had that one song that was really popular. I don't remember the name of it.
Hey, Now You're a Rock Star? That's what jumped into my head.
No, I don't think that's 311.
That's someone else?
Amber?
Yeah.
Amber was the color of your
Amber.
energy.
Amber, I
sing
think
that
it was.
Oh, yeah, voice of an angel there, Freddie. All right. Anyway, over at Zenatta, we have got a mastering tax management in Zoho Books with Avalara. We have a very nice partnership with Avalara that we've been doing a lot with lately, because we've been using them for a long time with our clients. And finally, we just kind of formalized everything. So as we do with everything, we don't think you need to pay for a service that you can probably do yourself. So we are basically just putting together a whole bunch of tutorials on how you can implement Avalara to help with your overall tax problems inside Zoho Books. Didn't you do a thing on how to integrate it into Zoho Books and how to set it up?
Not
recently?
yet. I'm gonna do videos soon on the integration with Zoho Books. What I did in the video that this article references is how to do it the manual way without Avalara. The takeaway there is that, like, if you'd only sell to a couple different states and cities, you're probably fine doing it manually. If you're an e-commerce company selling to all 50 and a bunch of cities inside them, just get Avalara. It is so much easier than setting it up yourself. But yeah, so that video up there shows kind of the old fashioned way, which again can work for a lot of people. And then, hey, don't pay for Avalara. But I would say for the majority of people, larger businesses, if you're selling in multiple areas, it's just such a weight off your shoulders to have Avalara handle the whole tax element of sales.
And we talked about it on the last episode. I mean, taxes are there's the state sets the sales tax, and then the county sets a tax on top of that, and then a city can set a tax on top of that, and it goes on and on and on. And then they have special taxes on various other things depending on what you're doing.
So like Cincinnati might tax this type of item a little more, but then up in Dayton, they tax this other item a little more than that. It gets complicated to actually do it correctly.
And if you haven't checked out our website, Zenatta.com, I suggest you do it. We have our resource library. Everybody loves our resource library. This is where we keep track of all of the Zoho applications. This is where we actually index every single article, every video, everything we've done. You can just click into any one of the applications and it'll give you the full breakdown there. We also rate the applications as to where we think they are in the state of readiness, whether or not they'll work for your organization or not. And this is changing all the time. So please head over there. We're adding new material to this almost on a daily basis. But check out our resource library. We also, all of the CRM Zen shows are archived over here as well. And in essence, the newsletter lives under these as a kind of a historical document. This is more of a cleaner version of the newsletter, basically, but it is every single thing that we talked about on the show and didn't talk about on the show. So worth taking a look at there. So anyway, Zenatta.com, head on over, get your Zoho on. And with that, let's head over to YouTube and look at our tip of the week. All right, Tyler, template customization in Zoho Books. Are we talking straight up customization, HTML customization?
Just the standard customization. So not going down the HTML, CSS rabbit hole. Those templates behave a little weirdly in books. I don't know if we really recommend using them. They're always a moving target. It'll look fine, and then you'll send one to one customer with the same template, and it just looks weird. But yeah, these are just going through the default ones, just showing like what all of the sections are. It's something that as I was learning Zoho Books, I found this difficult to navigate. So kind of just go through creating a new template, customizing the PDF view. I also do show the email templates as well. Obviously, those are pretty straightforward to work with. But yeah, just one of those topics that I noticed we didn't have a video on, and I know occasionally we get questions on it. So I thought it couldn't hurt just to record something to help out.
Perfect. Very, very nice. Yeah, HTML is interesting. So it used to be that if you wanted to turn on HTML templates, you had to request it from Zoho. Is it now? Can you just turn it on by yourself, or do you still have to request it?
You still have to request it. I could be mistaken, but I think you still have to request it.
Okay. Anyway, I agree with you. Unless you really need something custom, you have a lot of flexibility with the templates is the way they are. So
like these will probably work for you. It's pretty rare that these can't be made into a template that'll work for most businesses.
Excellent. All right. Nice tip. And as always, if you head over to youtube.com/Zenatta, well, that is where you will find all of our videos. You can also look at our resource library, but this is kind of get them in real time. We would love it if you would subscribe, like our videos, smash that bell, whatever you need to do. But this is where we keep all of our videos, and they drop almost daily. We're up to 680 videos on. And by the way, that's pruned out. So we've actually taken out old videos and replaced them. So we're constantly updating. 18,300 plus people can't be wrong. Head over to Zenatta.com/ or YouTube.com/Zenatta and subscribe to our channel. We'd love for you to join that community as well. All right, Tyler. Another CRM Zen show is in the bag. What do we do?
It is. I appreciate you saying smash that bell. I think that's the first time in the CRM Zen show that either of us have talked about that notorious YouTube bell.
Smash the bell. I don't even know where the bell is. But if I found it, I'd smash it. That would be it. All righty. Well, hey, as always, everybody, we truly appreciate you joining us and watching our show. If you would like to get hold of someone at Zenatta to discuss how we can help you with your Zoho needs, please head over to Zenatta.com and click on Book a Meeting in the upper right-hand corner. We'd love to chat with you.
On the website is also where you'll find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. If you want that news delivered straight to your inbox every Monday morning, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. And last but not least, we always appreciate when you like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday.
Smash that bell, everybody.
I know.
All
I
right.
thought about working it in, but I have that outro on such a routine in my brain that I couldn't do it.
Would have been good. Congrats on the house, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Boom, boom, boom. Looking forward to sitting around that big fire pit you got back there. The pictures were amazing. I'll be posting your address at the end of the show so everybody can go.
Yeah, ASAP. Let's get it out there.